It may not be a top 25 matchup, but this game has major Big 12 title implications, and I don't think anyone saw this coming back in the preseason. We've got number 20, Colorado, taking on Texas Tech in Lubbock. Both these teams have been pleasant surprises in the Big 12 this season, and now we've got a massive showdown that we are going to break down today with the winner keeping their conference title hopes alive. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. Ready to break down number 20, Colorado, and Texas Tech. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. That includes our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country, beating out over 80% of the national handicappers each of the last 6 years, and doing so again this year as well. So it will be 7 years by the end of the season. We're offering you those picks for one of the lowest prices in the entire country. We're offering you those picks for a full year-long subscription, 365 days. So if you sign up now, you get it through November of next year. It is one of the best deals in the country. No other handicapper is offering a deal like this. No other handicapper is going to have the results like this. We want you to take advantage of it, become a member of our GE Nation. Again, the link for that down in the description below over on thegridironexpert.com. So let's jump into this one. I'm really, really excited for this. It's not a top 25 matchup, although maybe you could argue it should be after Texas Tech's win over Iowa State. But regardless, Colorado sits at 6-2 overall, 4-1 in conference play. Texas Tech 6-3 overall, 4-2 in conference play. And we know BYU's looking really, really good at the top of the standing, still undefeated, but everybody else below them has at least one loss. So the winner of this keeps those hopes alive. Even if Colorado loses, they still kind of keep those hopes alive, and they obviously would not own the tiebreaker over Texas Tech, wouldn't own the tiebreaker over Kansas State either if it came down to that. So a massive game for both of these programs. We take a look at the offense first. I will say this. We have a great showdown between two teams that rank in the top 25 in passing offense. And that's to be expected, especially from Colorado, with one of the best quarterbacks in the country in Shedeur Sanders. They're averaging over 323 passing yards per game. That's good for 8th in the entire nation. Sanders has over 2,500 yards, 21 touchdowns, just 6 interceptions, completing over 73% of his passes. So not only is he extremely accurate, but he takes great care of the football as well. They spread the ball out extremely well. As we know, we hear so much about Travis Hunter, and obviously he is phenomenal. Phenomenal on the offensive side of the ball, phenomenal on the defensive side of the ball. As a receiver, already has over 750 reception yards on the year, but 6 different players, including Hunter, 6 different players have at least 100 reception yards for this Colorado team. Hunter leads the way. LeJontay Wester right behind him with 501 yards. The running game is pretty much non-existent. That's to be expected. This is a Colorado team that still isn't that great up front on the offensive line, significantly better than where they were last year. There's no doubt about that. But a team that still isn't that great up front in the trenches, and a team that really doesn't want to run the ball all that much. Why would you want to run the ball that much when you have a top 10 passing attack in the country? The Buffalo's averaging just 80 rushing yards per game, so pretty much non-existent. Not going to be much of a factor against this Texas Tech team. If you're Texas Tech, you've got to be able to find a way to stop the pass, and we'll talk about that here in a second. Texas Tech, they are more balanced than the Buffaloes. The Red Raiders know how to do it on both sides. They're 22nd overall in total offense, averaging over 446 yards per game. That includes 282 passing yards per game and over 160 rushing yards per game. Baron Morton has been great at quarterback when he's healthy, and surprisingly, we've had a season where, for the most part, the Red Raiders have had a healthy quarterback. You know, for years and years and years, their starters would continuously go down, inconsistent quarterback play, not because they were bad, but because of injuries. They're finally getting consistency. Knock on wood, it stays that way for the Red Raiders. Because Morton has over 2,300 yards, 19 touchdowns, just 5 interceptions. So, like Sanders, takes very, very good care of the football. But Taj Brooks, man, I think Taj Brooks is one of the most underrated running backs in the country. People are not giving him nearly enough credit. He already has 1,000 rushing yards on the year, has rushed for 10 touchdowns, is averaging over 5 yards per carry on the year, and of course he did score that game-winning touchdown last week against Iowa State in Ames with just 20 seconds remaining to give the Red Raiders that massive win on the road and give Iowa State their first loss of the year. Hence, creating the chaos in the Big 12. Again, BYU at the top, but Iowa State now has a loss. Colorado only has one loss. Kansas State still in the mix. Texas Tech still in the mix. That's why, again, this game is so big. And we have Texas Tech to blame for that or to thank for that, depending on which side that you're on. But here's the thing. Texas Tech's got to find a way to be consistent. They're very inconsistent on both sides of the ball. We'll touch on that defense here in a second. But the offense has got to find a way to get off to a strong start. And for the most part, they've been a pretty solid first quarter team. They've gotten off to pretty decent starts. But are we going to see this Texas Tech team that kind of found themselves in a low-scoring game against Iowa State last week? They got significantly outgained offensively last week against Iowa State. Are we going to see the one that blew a 17-point lead against TCU? Again, the offense was looking good in that game. I know Morton got hurt in that game. Are we going to see the offense that got destroyed by Baylor, 59-35? What kind of offense, what kind of team are we going to see from Joey McGuire's squad on Saturday at home with this type of game, these type of stakes on the line? That's the question that I would have if I'm a Texas Tech fan. Because when you take a look at the defense for both sides, for both these teams, neither's that great, right? I mean, let's be honest here. Colorado's not that great defensively. Texas Tech certainly not that great defensively. But I'll give a lot of credit to Deion Sanders and a lot of credit to the Buffaloes. They have improved significantly on both sides of the ball. We talked about the offensive line's improved. The defense has really improved. Their defense was atrocious last year. We knew it. We all watched it. They have risen up the ranks big time this year on the defensive side of the ball. 64th overall in total defense. That's middle of the pack. Way better than being on the low end. Only allowing 364.6 yards per game. Only 209 passing yards per game. And then 155 rushing yards per game. So still struggling at times to stop the run. And that would be a concern going up against one of the best running backs in the Big 12 in Taj Brooks. But that secondary is severely underrated. Only 209 passing yards per game is all they're allowing. So a lot of credit to them. You can thank Travis Hunter for that as well. One of the best defensive players in the entire country as well. Heisman candidate for many, I would say. But Colorado, their key in this game on the road against Texas Tech, against an electric offense in the Red Raiders, is limit those big plays. Don't allow Texas Tech to get off to a strong start, and don't allow them to torch you with the big plays. Colorado has 2 losses this year, one to Nebraska earlier in the year, and then a heartbreaking home loss against Kansas State. In those 2 losses, the Buffaloes allowed 6 plays of 20 yards or more, also had a pick 6 against Nebraska, and they were extremely undisciplined. 14 penalties for 124 yards in those 2 games combined. They've got to limit the big plays, they've got to limit the turnovers, and they've got to be disciplined with the penalties. Play a clean game, especially in a hostile road environment like this one. Texas Tech, though, their defense is bad, man. And when I mean bad, I mean one of the worst in the country. And that's the question I have here. We talked about the offense, how inconsistent they can be at times. The defense, statistically, is one of the worst in the country, but we've seen them turn in decent performances. Which one shows up? Is it the one that held Iowa State to just 22 points on their home turf last week? Is it the one that even held a really good North Texas offense to 21 points earlier in the year? Or is it going to be the defense that gave up 51 points to Abilene Christian, 41 points to Cincinnati, 59 points to Baylor? Which one shows up? The Red Raiders are 130th in the country in total defense, giving up 462 yards per game. They're 133rd in the nation. That's almost dead last in the nation in passing defense, giving up 307.2 passing yards per game. And that's a major concern because while the secondary has forced 11 interceptions, so credit to them for that, when I see a team that can throw the ball well like Colorado and a team that struggles at stopping the pass like Texas Tech, I say, what do you have to do to disrupt that? You got to find a way to create pressure. You've got to find a way to disrupt Sanders and force him into mistakes, force him into second and third and long situations. The problem is Texas Tech can't do that. Even though Colorado's offensive line is still a little bit shaky, whether they allow like 26 sacks this year, Texas Tech's defensive line has only generated 11 sacks on the season. They have not been very good at generating pressure. They have not been very good at disrupting the teams in the backfield, and that's a major concern. If you give Sanders all that time in the pocket to throw, we've seen him escape the pocket and make some ridiculous plays as well. You give him that time with the receivers that he has, he's going to torch you every single time. We have seen Texas Tech get torched in the secondary in almost every single game this season. And that is ultimately why I'm actually picking Colorado to win this game on Saturday. I'm very excited for this game. I think it has the makings for a potential high-scoring game. I really do. But when you take one of the best quarterbacks in the country like Shedeur Sanders against one of the worst passing defenses in the country like Texas Tech, a Colorado team that's playing with a lot of confidence, They have won big-time road games on the road at UCF, dominated in that game. They did go on the road and beat Arizona. They've got an elite passing attack. One could argue a better passing attack than that of Texas Tech. I believe they're going to get this job done here. I really do. If Colorado can limit the big plays and force Tosh Brooks to almost be a non-factor, force Baron Morton to win this game solely through the air, the Buffaloes will win this. And even if they can't do that, and it's a back-and-forth shootout, I have faith in Colorado's offense to deliver in the final seconds because of how poor Texas Tech's defense is. It's going to be a fun one down in Lubbock. The stakes couldn't be higher. One of the biggest games, I would argue, for Texas Tech football in a very long time. One of the biggest games for Colorado football, certainly, in a very long time. But we're going to pick the Buffaloes to get the job done, improve to 7-2, 5-1 in Big 12 play, so guaranteeing themselves a winning record on the season. But they want more than that. Their Big 12 title hopes are very much alive, and with it, their college football playoff hopes are not quite done yet. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. That includes, again, our website, thegridironexpert.com, home of those exclusive expert picks, some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country, beating out over 80% of the national handicappers each of the last 6 years, and it'll be 7 by the end of this year. Go sign up today. The link down in the description below. Become a member of that GE Nation. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.